which is just so crazy to me. Like, get that woman a lottery ticket. I mean, my goodness.
Your chances are better winning the lottery than they are winning a challenge.
Oh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. What up, challenge fans? We are Final Alliance Podcast. Just finished watching episode 10 of the Challenge All-Star Season 3, titled Coming for the Crown. This is usually the part where I look over to my good friend and co-host Jay and I say, what'd you think? Jay is in Nashville for nationals for softball for his daughter. He wanted to be here. We were going to try to do this really late at night. Decided, you know what, let's just shoot separate today. I do have my producer with a mic this time.
Hey.
So in case I get off the tracks, he's there to
we'll reel you in.
Reel me in. Which I'm a little nervous, so please bear with me, people.
Don't be, you're fine.
Before we start, I like to listen to a lot of challenge podcasts. I enjoy listening to so many. And I found one a couple weeks ago titled Love Worn Challenges. Love them. They do a really good job. I followed them on Twitter. They followed us back. We had a nice little Twitter conversation. And then they gave us a shout out on last week's recap. So that was really awesome. So shout out right back to them. Love War Challenges. Check them out if you haven't already. Now, this episode starts right before the tandem kayak. So right now, the scores are, for the women, Johnny 15, Naya 13, Kayla 12, Kellyanne 5. Now on the men's side, we have Wes with 18, Nehemiah 15, Brad 9, and Mark 3. The partners for this are Naya and Wes, Kellyanne and Mark, Brad and Johnny, Nehemiah and Kayla. So they kayak out, kayak back. That's the check. For the most part, this is pretty straightforward. Kellyanne and Mark appeared to have dominated everybody. Second place was Nehemiah and Kayla. Brad and Johnny were third. And way back in the back was Naya and Wes, which was just surprising to me because Naya has been doing a really good job in this final and Wes has been killing it. So I was really surprised to see that. There were a couple shots where it looked like Wes was paddling, but Naya wasn't. I don't know what happened there.
I think he was doing a little bit more the majority, and I couldn't tell if maybe she was trying to steer the back of the kayak, because sometimes you put your paddle in to make it turn, but it looked like he was doing more of the work than she was.
And on the other side of the coin with Johnny and Brad, Johnny says, look, I'm putting everything I have into this. And Brad, are you laying down? Which is surprising because he really pushed her on that run. Remember, he took off ahead of everybody else. And now, I don't know, maybe his muscles were still cramping up. But he was able to not come in dead last, which is good. Now, the head-to-head is on a floating dock. It is a one round of King of the Hill. TJ informs us that this was his first challenge that he was a part of as host, which was on the Gauntlet 2. Although that looked like it was more of a team, or it was everybody was on it. It was just one-on-one. We start with Wes and Brad. Brad handles Wes pretty quick. Just kind of knocks him over in a hurry, which is not that surprising, especially considering how the way Brad was standing right beforehand versus the way Wes was standing. Brad took more of like a football type stance, and obviously that paid off for him. We have Kellyanne and Naya. Wes makes a comment about Naya being so much taller than Kellyanne, saying that Kellyanne looks like a small child. And then they show it from a distance, and absolutely, she looks just tiny. And she does like the muscles, and, she's scrappy, and she goes for it. Kellyanne absolutely goes for it, but almost a little too hard. She runs at Naya. Naya kind of pushes her, and then she just kind of moves out of the way and pushes Kellyanne in. Mark and Nehemiah are next. They do the little swagger step that Nehemiah has done together out there, which I thought was adorable. No surprise here. Mark gets this one. Then we have Johnny and Kayla. This is the one that actually looked like it was more of a battle. The two of them were back and forth for a while. And then John A gets it. TJ says something about mom strength, which I loved. And then Kayla says in her interview, she's like, maybe mom strength is a thing, which I just thought that was cute.
That was a really good battle, too. I think out of all the head-to-heads that I've seen in this final specifically, it always seems to be kind of one-sided, where this one was, it didn't go on forever, but you could tell they were both really trying and was really evenly matched.
Yes. Evenly matched would be a very good way to put it. Of everybody, of all the people, that was the most evenly matched head-to-head. Now the points are John A 22, Nia 19, Kayla 15, Kellyanne 9. For the men, so it's Wes 19, Nehemiah 18, Brad is up to 16 now, and then Mark has 12. So both Brad and Mark really paid off in this one, and Nia as well. On to the next checkpoint, it's raining. TJ informs us of the new pairs, which are Wes and Kayla, Brad and John A, Nehemiah and Kellyanne, and Nia and Mark. The challenge at this checkpoint is to carry 100 pounds. There are 10 10-pound bags that the partners have to carry. They didn't say the distance. It didn't originally look like that far, but it is quite a ways into the jungle and then onto the beach.
If you look back to the last episode where they showed the map of the island, you can just kind of mentally assume that you're crossing that island multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. And so if you cross from one point to another beach, you kind of know the distance from that one. You can kind of assume that you're either going back to the other side of the island or you're going to go up this side of the island.
Right. It'd be a lot easier if you had like a Fitbit or an Apple Watch to actually. Sure. Brad makes a really funny comment that I loved. He says, you know what sounds fun after wrestling Wes? Carrying sandbags up a hill in the effing jungle. How about that, S? He had a lot of really good interviews today. I just really liked his energy in his interviews and just his energy in general. He's very encouraging of other people and doesn't give up. And I just really appreciate that about him. Kellyanne and Nehemiah have a idea of doing this in 2 trips. They think everybody else is probably going to do 2 trips or they're going to carry too much and they're going to tire out. So instead of just doing the 1 trip, they decide to do 2 trips and just try to get it done quickly. They very quickly find out that this was absolutely the wrong strategy. As they finish their first load and they're coming back, seeing everybody, they're asking, Nia and Mark, oh, you have all of them? Wow, good for you. And then Brad and Kayla, oh, you have all the bags too. Kellyanne gets really discouraged. She's like, I want to cry. I'm just frustrated because she's like, this was the wrong decision.
Well, and they didn't take their bags all the way to the end. They dropped them beforehand, went and picked up their other bags and came back. They realized about halfway through that they made the wrong decision. Because if you see when everybody else comes up and places their bags,
they weren't on
their red
yet.
Bags weren't there yet.
That's a good point. Oof. It's just a
if I'm doing
mistake.
This and I see that everybody else is taking the full 100 pounds, I don't know that I'm going to risk that. I'm going to be faster if everybody else already has it done.
Exactly.
It levels the playing field across the way.
For sure. And this kind of goes back to the Kellyanne saying, she was saving her energy. But, God, this was just the wrong call. They hit us with the Mr. song. Kyrie.
Yeah.
I like it. Reminds me of an 80s movie.
Oh, totally.
Then as we continue on, they play by David Banner, which I appreciated that they played the radio edit version because it's a pretty dirty song otherwise, and it wouldn't have worked. But saying "Run, girl," yeah, they're running, they're going, cool. Nia and Mark, I feel like were the perfect pair to be together at this time. These are 2 workhorses. Maybe they're not the fastest, maybe they're not the most agile, but they can carry some stuff. And sure did they. I mean, it worked out for them. They killed it. They get first place. Mark makes a comment about how Nia is kind of like looking into a mirror, like they're kind of the same as far as athleticism. And then they hit us with the mashing of the 2 of them in the interview. So it's like Mark's body with Nia's face, which kind of reminded me of when Kyle and Devin became Dial last season and they molded their faces together. It was kind of like that. Nia's head on Mark's body. So that was cute. Wes and Kayla get second. which is not a surprise to me. John A. and Brad are third, and then Nehemiah and Kellyanne are last. John A. totally beasted up, and Brad was getting tired. She ends up carrying 60 pounds, and he's like, "Are you sure?" "Sure," which is just phenomenal. This woman just continues to impress me.
That mom strength.
That mom strength. The points now are John A. 24, Naya 23. This was a big win for Naya here. Kayla 18, Kellyanne 10, and then for the men, Wes 22, Nehemiah 19, Brad 18, and Mark 16. TJ has a cute little joke. He says, "Good job bringing sand to the beach." And Brad has like such a like cheesy, like audible laugh. He's like, "Ha!" Then TJ tells us about this overnight portion. And everybody is terrified. They're like, the overnight portion of the final is always the worst. It's always terrible. You're forced to stay up or really bad sleeping conditions.
You're cold.
Sometimes they have them do like challenges or stand on something or
mindless
whatever.
tasks. Remember when they threaded the beads?
Threading the beads. Oh, that was a good one. Threading the beads. And then there was also where they had to get the water out of, or the coconut water out of the coconut and had to fill the most. That was a cool one, though. I really liked that. And TJ just says, "Hey, you guys have proven you deserve to be here. We're going to sleep on this yacht," which everybody thinks is a trick. I even think it's a trick. I'm like, well, they're going to have to like swim out there first. Nope. Just sleep on the yacht where the $500,000 is.
Do you think they take it a little bit easier on them because this is All Stars? I mean, Jay touched on it last week, but like because they're older, because they're All Stars, we're not going to put them through it. We're going to have a little bit easier of a final.
I think so, but they've like last season there was a night challenge, so I don't know why that was a choice. So something in me almost makes me wonder if there was something that they had picked to do for a night challenge and maybe it didn't happen. But it does just kind of seem like, okay. It
was kind of uncharacteristic.
Right. They don't. I mean, I was half when he was like, "Oh, you've proven to be here." I'm like, do they just get to go back to the house? But obviously they're on a different island. But I'm like.
Well, and if you think about it, it kind of mirrors the entire episode because in my mind, this final was pretty easy. I've seen a lot harder finals than this. And I'm going back to this. Is this the final All-Stars? Like for All-Stars finals, is it easier for them than it would be a typical challenge?
I think the final last season was potentially more difficult than this one. And in the first one, they were running and things like that. And but they also had to like eat hot peppers before they ran. So they're like running and throwing up. So that was
the worst.
Right. So anyway, they go to the yacht. Wes makes a comment that they all smell bad. They're still bangable, but you wouldn't brag about it. Which I'm just like, where do you get this stuff? They're on the yacht, they're having a good time. They hit us with Peter Byron and John Young Folks. Love that song with the whistles. Bjorn, sorry. And Wes and Nehemiah do the Titanic pose, which is adorable. They have food, beds. I mean, this is some high-class living here. Also, I noticed that they've all showered, which that's unusual, too. Like, they were all able to, like, shower and, I would appreciate that.
Well, when they first get on the yacht, too, you can see they have this awesome food spread out. The women go directly down to where the bathrooms and what I would assume shower would be on the yacht.
I think Naya and Kayla did. That probably could have been like, I got to go potty.
Could be, but I mean, Brad beelined it for the food. He wasn't going to wait around for anything. But I assume that, some people were going to go clean up before they did anything else.
Absolutely. I mean, you see, like Mark's in a robe and all that kind of stuff. Mark and Brad are talking about, just their drive, their reason. Mark is talking about his mom and obviously she's ill and how she gives him strength and she's going to be really proud of him. And that's nice. And, Brad talks about, his sons and just, nice stuff. And then we go to, it's Nehemiah and John A. and Naya. Looks like the girls are having champagne, which I'm like, that's a bold choice. But I mean, I don't think they were like crazy partying or anything like that. And, just kind of reflecting on the season. they're showing each other their injuries and blisters, and Nehemiah makes a comment. He's like, yeah, this blister is going to be really big. And he's like, but you know what's going to make it hurt less? $250,000. I'll buy myself a new foot. And they just talk about the things they overcame this season, which is just wonderful. Johnny says, I didn't think I could do this alone. Naya just saying kind of similar things. And it's really cool. I'm proud of them. We got Mark talking to little Mark. Okay. Kellyanne's nowhere to be found. And she just went right to bed. I mean, at this point, she's already in bed. And, she says something about she can't sleep, a little seasick, thinking about pirates. Wes is seasick. Nehemiah's fine. No big deal. The next morning they wake up and, they have a lovely breakfast spread. They're all sitting on top of the boat in uniform, kind of watching the sunrise, ready to go for day 2. They get on the beach for day 2. TJ shows up looking good as always on an ATV. They go over the points, and he says the bottom 2 men, the bottom 2 women are going to go in an elimination right now, which I like this and I don't like this. I feel like if we're going with points, shouldn't the bottom person just be excused at that point? However, I liked that the person in the bottom and the person in third place had an opportunity to, face off to stay in. And at this point, after this, then the points don't mean anything. It's just a race. TJ informs us that the elimination is a crossword puzzle. All finals locations, the 10 countries. There was a map in the house. Hope you guys were studying that.
And that's been a recurring theme. He's done that before. He did that last time where he said, hope you guys were it was the pictures.
Oh, right. So, that happened last time.
If I were a contestant, I'd be looking at the walls, making notes of everything.
Right. I mean, and granted, they were only in the house maybe like another 2-3 days after that. But yeah, at that point, I'd be like looking at everything because maybe this is going to mean something later. Kayla says, I haven't looked at this at all.
Shocker.
I don't know geography. This is not going to work for me. Kellyanne has been studying this. Mark and Brad, we don't really hear much about if they've paid attention or not, but they're not, from what we see, they're not super good spellers. And Johnny and Naya are saying that this is karma for Kayla for cheating last time because this is what she gets. And then I kind of got excited thinking maybe that they were showing this because it was foreshadowing because, I'm a Kellyanne fan. And I'm thinking, okay, so Kellyanne has not really been performing well in this final. Not as well as I would like to see her perform. And this could be really good. This could be really good for her. Could get Kayla out. Kellyanne comes back and maybe turns it around. Unfortunately, it's not what happened. Kayla somehow is able to pull it out. And even then, she's like, I don't even know. I guessed on everything. I have no idea, which is just so crazy to me. Like, get that woman a lottery ticket. I mean, my goodness.
Her chances are better winning the lottery than they are winning a challenge.
Oh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. But I was still proud of her nonetheless. But I was so sad to see Kellyanne go. She's just been really fun to watch. And I've developed this fandom of her this season. I've really enjoyed her. So I hope we do see her again in the future. They have her walk off all by herself.
It was like the sad Hulk.
It was so sad. And it's like, okay. The men, it's a little bit hilarious and it's a little more close. Brad says he's so nervous that he's spelling out California, the country of California, because one of the clues was Los Angeles. You'd have to say USA. Which that would be the one that I would get first because it just says there were 3 letters. I can't think of any other countries that have 3 letters.
And it was right over the states, too.
And that was the only one that was right over the proper location. So it's like, it was right there. He also spells the country of Thailand, Tyland. And TJ is just like dying laughing. And then Wes makes a comment. He's like, Mark can't find the letters for USA. It's right there because he used the S in Brazil. Brazil. Which was just so funny. So Kayla won. Brad was able to pull it out. Mark had a great season. I was very proud of him. He got further than I was anticipating. I think even to a point, maybe further than he was anticipating. Love to see him back. Love everything he's done for the show. But I am very happy that Brad won this. I wanted Brad to be in that final 3. And it was cute when he was walking away. They all yelled, "Godfather!" And he was, gracious in his loss as well. Now it's a race. You don't have any partners. You got to get back to the yacht. There's 3 more checkpoints to go. They don't tell us that, but that's how many there were. And it's just first man to get back to the yacht, first woman to get back to the yacht. They take off running. Wes is the first one to get there. They play classical music. It's Carmen. And it's a weighted scale of a bunch of just nasty looking pieces of food. From a distance, it kind of looks like pulled chicken. But then when you get in there, it does not look good.
Brains, worms, intestines. Right?
Oh, just disgusting. And it's funny because everybody that walks up has the same reaction. They're either cussing or they're like, ugh, what is this life that I've chosen? Poor Nehemiah has not eaten meat in 15 years. He says, is there a vegan option? I felt really bad for him, but he's like, look, for $250,000, I will eat this.
To be fair, I don't think that actually classifies as meat.
It's an animal product.
Okay, I guess. I'll give him that. But, it's not like eating steak.
It's an animal product. I'll count it as meat.
All right.
And then just all the puking. So much puking. Oh, God. I like an eating challenge. I do think it's an equalizer. They really have to push through it. They hit us with How Bizarre, one of my favorite one-hit wonders. Love that song. And, oh, God, so much puking. At one point, Wes says, the consistency of this, and it's like going down his beard. Oh, I almost threw up looking at that. That was gross. It's not going well for any of them. Wes makes a joke about being a ginger, saying, I have the ability to remove my soul. So right now, I'm removing it. I'm going full zombie mode.
That's impossible. We all know gingers have no souls.
Also, he had a funny comment too. He's like, look, I had a double major. I graduated college with honors. I own a business. I'm married. What the F am I doing with my life? I'm like, oh, that's so funny. Wes is able to pull it out first. Awesome. Not surprised. Says he feels great, but he's like, actually, no, I don't feel great, but I'm happy that I finished this. I feel disgusting because I've got 2 pounds of this in my stomach. John A is able to be first for the women. Then Brad goes second. Kayla is able to finish second for the women. And then they all move on to the next checkpoint. Naya and Nehemiah, it takes them a little bit longer. Naya is getting very frustrated with herself and just kind of negotiating with herself. Is there a point I can even win at this point? And Nehemiah is just so encouraging. He says, you don't know what those checkpoints are. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. And that, gives her the encouragement to keep going. The other 4 are at this puzzle. I think it's about 6 pieces. You got to make a star. Pretty typical type of puzzle we see. Wes finishes that first, then John A, then Brad, then Kayla. They have to go to another puzzle, which is a ton of blocks. Almost look like bigger dominoes. They have to build a pyramid. It's windy, so that makes it challenging. John A's falls over at one point and legit domino effect. And then once you get there, then you have to grab a surfboard and surf or paddle out to the yacht. Wes and John A complete it. Brad is able to complete it and get his surfboard and start paddling out. Kayla, same thing. And she is like, look, I can still see John A. There's a chance here that I can win it. And Brad says the same thing. He's like, if he makes any mistake here, then I'm going to use this as an opportunity to pull ahead because I don't have quit. There's no quit in me. Wes is the first to the yacht. Hops on, doing his Wes-isms. And it was kind of like the way this was edited, when Wes goes out on his, surfboard, they hit us with the drone shot of him running on the beach and him paddling out. And I'm like, okay, he's going to win this right now. He's going to win this. There's no, With the women, it did look just a tad bit closer. After Wes wins, first they hit us with Blind Melon, which is great.
It was a Blind Melon remix.
Yeah. I liked that. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, he's winning. John A gets on the boat, and Brad was so encouraging, just like, look at you, back to back. That was awesome. And TJ, same thing, like, good job, John A. And I just loved how proud of her he was. And then, in her interview, she's just talking about how, proud she is of herself for completing this and winning this and everything she's accomplished. And she cries. And then, I cried because it was a moving moment.
You always cry.
I do, but it was a moving moment. It meant it was good for tears. They had us with toy soldiers, and then they show us Kayla and Brad back on the beach. Then Nehemiah and Naya come out, and then Nehemiah just goes and gets in the water, and Naya, Kayla, and Brad are just sitting on the beach talking. And I see this moment between Brad and Kayla, and I've been saying this all season. I feel like they've built a friendship, a mutual respect for each other, both Brad and Kayla. They won together several times, several challenges they won together. I think 3 in a row they won together. And like when she got to the puzzle after eating, he was like, hey, Kayla, good job. Way to complete that. And Kayla's crying, and she's like, I wish I would have won, And Brad makes a really good comment. He just says, something along the lines of it's going to get easier and the memories are going to get better as it goes on. And like, we all will have this, that we did this together. And this is a once in a lifetime thing. And I just thought that was really cool.
And he's not wrong.
He's not. This is some really awesome stuff. Who does this? Nobody.
And I think this was Kayla's best season I've ever seen her on.
Absolutely. She was fantastic. Granted, she put herself in a really good alliance. She won so many challenges. Kept herself safe, didn't have to go into any eliminations. Yeah, she did well. She did very well.
She had a good game. She played smart, and probably the best effort I've seen from her all around.
For sure. Now, did I like that moment of her with Naya with the cheating? I wish she would have owned up to it. But
I mean, everybody does it, especially in this game. It's no big secret. But if you're going to do it, at least be like, hey,
I did.
It's the game.
I did it. So that's the one thing I would have to say about her. But she played very well. Brad says he's going to get in the best shape of his life because he wants to come back, which I kind of laughed at. I'm like, what better shape could you get in?
I mean, the dude's jacked.
Right? But I did see somebody mention, follower of us, we love Phoenix Rising. She said, well, he, his muscles were cramping. John A had to carry some of the weights for the run and paddle for him. So it's not that he needs endurance. It's not that he needs bigger muscles, but maybe muscle endurance. Work on something like that. If there was anything that I would say for him to work on.
I think that's the problem when you have too much muscle mass. It's easier to burn through all that, like especially with the cramping. His body's burning through all those calories, all that extra potassium and stuff. Where if you had somebody who was a little bit toned, a little bit less ripped, they might be able to do that without any problems.
That is a good point. Your body does burn more calories based on your muscle density.
I mean, the dude's huge. I could fit in his bicep. If I curled up into a little ball right now.
Oh, I love him though. And he's just down on himself when he says that. He's like, I'm going to get myself in better shape. I think you're fine. It maybe just wasn't your final, but I love the determination. Love to see him back. Now, I do have, it's going to be weird to do the categories without Jay this time. So my thoughts on who won the episode. I mean, I'm going to give it to Wes and John A. Give it to Wes and John A. They both won the episode. They won the season.
I was going to say John A. Just because, back to back for her, this is a huge win. And she was in the final in the first one, too.
Correct.
So, I mean, compared to where she was when she started with, what was that, Battle of the Exes or whatever?
She had a partner where it was rivals. I think that was her and Jasmine. And then it was Battle of the Exes 2, where she was with Zach, and that was just... Oof.
If you look at her compared then to where she is now, and maybe she's got that mom strength and everything else, and being with MJ and making it to the final in the first season, I think her mental attitude has grown, and I think she's just grown as a competitor to somebody I discounted her when I first saw her years ago. And when she came back, I kind of laughed to myself. But I mean, she proved me wrong.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, she's always had a great personality and super cute and been decent. But she is, I mean, she's a contender for Mount Rushmore now.
Easily.
Female Mount Rushmore. Absolutely. Lost the episode. I got to go with Kellyanne.
She didn't give it her all this entire final.
I'm just disappointed. I really wanted it for her. I wanted the dog sanctuary. I would love to see her again. The music was great. Talked about that. Cringeworthy moment has gotta be all the puking.
I was gonna say puke beard.
Specifically Wes's puke beard. And it was like, oh, no. New episode title. I thought Coming for the Crown was not bad. I mean, the only thing else without, you could say like repeat or back to back, but that would give it away.
Right. I think the title for this was actually fitting for a change. Good job, MTV.
Hey, Paramount. Woo-hoo. Jay and I made predictions in our preview episode as to who we thought was going to win.
Before the season started, right?
Before the season started. I predicted Sylvia or Melinda for the women. Jay predicted Kendall, so we were dead wrong. But we both predicted Wes as the winner. So we're half right. Good for us on that. Have a little bit of challenge tea. It is such good news. It made me so incredibly happy when I saw it. So Melinda had posted that she's pregnant with a little baby boy due in October. And it's just wonderful. I'm so proud of her. I'm proud of her. I'm just so happy for her. Post a little cute pictures of her son, you know, talk about being a big brother, whatever. And he's so like smiley and cute. And I just, after this tremendous loss that she had last year, I'm really happy for her. So looking forward to seeing the baby pictures and stuff in October. So congratulations to her and her family. Moving on, the next thing we have is Challenge USA airs tonight on CBS after Big Brother. I'm going to watch it. TJ's there. That's great. I know maybe about 5 people from Big Brother. We'll see what happens. I saw a little bit of a preview today where 2 of the people from Big Brother, Tiffany and X, went through the house. The house looks like the underground bunker from whatever episode or season that was, where Johnny won.
It wasn't Spies, Lies. What was? Oh, I just heard the name of this earlier.
Was it Total Madness?
Yes, it was Total Madness.
It reminded me of that. Now, they're not completely underground. It's not cold weather, thank God. They do have like an outside with like a hot tub, which is great. But the thing that's the craziest of all, so it's like one big space, like a warehouse where, you know, you've got the area sectioned off, but they all sleep in bunk beds in the same room, like an army barracks.
Nice.
I don't love that.
So they're keeping it Big Brother-esque, though, by making it one big warehouse, right?
Yes.
I'm not a Big Brother fan, but there is no outside.
There's an outside on Big Brother.
I thought they did a lot of fake outsides.
No, I think there's an outside. You see people out in their swimsuits and sunbathing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I'm going to give that a whirl. Probably going to cover it.
Might as well. You know, because, I mean, potentially we could be seeing these people in other shows, you know?
For sure.
Who knows? We might be looking at the next All-Star at some point.
Oh, gosh. Oh, that would be so weird.
It's cool to think about.
Mm-hmm. I hope that All-Stars has a season 4. I've not heard anything about that yet. Fingers crossed. I really liked this season. I liked the energy. I liked the cast members. I think they got really elite cast members this season, specifically talking about, you know, Wes and... I mean, Johnny is becoming an elite contender. I'd love to see someone like a Leroy, even though I know he's retired.
Sure.
Or, I mean, I loved that Jordan was on it. I liked that we saw Naya again.
This season had a very good premise with people that had only made it to a final.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I like that. This kind of defined the term All-Star.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, when Jay was talking last week about like these people aren't very good storytellers, I did actually think about this. One of the best storytellers that was on this season, Jemmy, had to go home early.
Yeah.
I think had she have been able to stay longer, we would have gotten more story.
Yeah, she definitely pulls it out, and she's a lot of fun, but there's a lot for her to talk about and to voice her opinion on.
And she's so great at like telling the story, painting the picture for everybody, and it's entertaining. I mean, I think that's the same reason Anissa keeps getting called back for Challenge Proper, the flagship, because she is excellent at telling a story.
Absolutely.
She doesn't, she's always manages to be in whatever's happening, not being dramatic, not being fake, but she's
a part of the storyline.
Always. So, I don't know, looking forward to season 38, looking forward to checking out this Challenge USA.
If you were to grade this final, what letter grade would you give it?
C+.
C+? Yeah,
What about you?
It was about a C. I thought...
It seemed like it kind of abruptly ended. Like day 2 was, I mean, they had to eat the yucky food. And then a couple puzzles.
And the elimination.
So it started with the elimination.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was run to eat the yucky food, run back, puzzle, paddle out.
A lot of paddling.
It was like a half day.
A lot of paddling, a lot of running. Not a lot of like physical challenges from what I remember. I mean, besides the carrying the sandbags or
carrying
whatever.
The sandbags is always a staple.
I'd like to see them diversify this kind of final. They needed like a climbing or...
Okay.
And by not doing anything at night, I think they just took it way easy on them.
Yeah. I think that you're right.
I don't want to see anybody almost die, but
God,
that's the
no.
whole point of the final.
No.
You know, TJ's always bragged about, my finals are the hardest finals. You're not going to
Right.
make it through my final, blah, blah, blah.
Just trying to think of what else they could have done. Something heights? Because that's always something.
You're kind of limited to what you can do by your surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
So by being on a beach island, it makes it kind of hard.
True. Yeah, let us know what you think as far as this final. Thank you for bearing with me without Jaybird. Miss him so much. Hopefully, well, not hopefully. He'll be back next week. All good. And that's it for this week. So follow us on Twitter, Final Alliance 1, Instagram on Final Alliance, on YouTube. We are Final Alliance Podcast. Please subscribe, comment, let me know how I did. Let me know your thoughts on this final, and on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We are Final Alliance Podcast. Thanks for watching.